Good morning, everyone. I'm Jordan Nicole, and we are back for another lovely morning at Good Evening or Good Morning KU. And I'm joined by Shamaria. How are you doing, girl?
I'm doing well. Now, today, let's talk about last week. Officer Sean Lucas was arrested and charged for the murder of Jonathan Price. Jonathan Price was a 31-year-old black man in Texas. He was at a gas station when he was trying to stop a dispute between two females. Now, Officer Lucas was called to the scene, but witnesses reported the dispute was pretty much settled by the time he got to the scene. Body cam footage showed that Jonathan Price attempted to greet and shake Officer Lucas' hand several times. Sean Lucas reported that Jonathan Price seemed intoxicated and threatening, so he tased and shot him 4 times. Jonathan Price was announced dead at the hospital. Now, what's so alarming about this is Jonathan Price was actually a Blue Lives Matter advocate, and people are pretty much enraged that another black man has been wrongfully killed.
Yeah, so let's talk about that in terms of, wow, there's so many things that we could unpack in this conversation. So, one, black people are not all monolithic. So you can be a Blue Lives Matter supporter, you can be a Black Lives Matter supporter. So in terms of this situation, it's very ironic because at the end of the day, in terms of tensions between police brutality, black and white relations, at the end of the day, you're going to be viewed as a black man. So although he was supportive of the police and he stood by the police, it ended up being one of those unfortunate situations to where he was seen as a threat because of his skin tone. How do you feel about that?
I think that's what's really infuriating, just being black in America, to know that you can show your support for police on any of your platforms and still be seen as a threat in America just for the color of your skin, because I'm sure Jonathan Price never thought that it could be him, and it's so disheartening to know that this is still going on, and it's traumatizing as a black person in America to know that even in a pandemic, black people can still be killed.
Yeah, I think this has been a really crazy year for everyone's mental health, but specifically black people in the United States, because one, when we talk about mental health, we have never stopped mourning. There's this term called post-traumatic slave syndrome, and it's really, it goes into depth of the mental health of generational traumas and not knowing why
Right.
you operate the way you do. So this year we've lost a lot of amazing kings, famous and non-famous. So really trying to understand, why are we mourning people that we don't know? Because I think it has to do with lost potential. Jonathan Price was only 31, which is very sad to think about. So when we are losing our kings and queens over conditional freedom, so when people say, well, oh, if only he would have complied, if only he would have turned down his radio, if only he wouldn't have put his hoodie up, I think the underlying subtext is, well, they were threatening because they were black. So it ties into those conditional freedoms of how people in the United States have died, jaywalking, being in the privacy of their own home, being in their grandmother's backyard, all kinds of things that we could really go into.
And it's infuriating and annoying as a black person to know that these conditional freedoms only apply to black people. And when I say that to say no one ever talks about white on white crime. You've never heard that as a term because they're white. It only applies to black people. It's black on black crime as an excuse to justify law enforcement killing black people.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. Well, in other news, let's talk about Donald Trump and Joe Biden, because we are gearing up for the election. We are only 19 days away from the election. I went out yesterday on campus and tried to talk to our students, and no one wanted to talk to me. I was literally going up like a saleswoman, asking people if they wanted to talk to me, and they were running away. So I approached about 15 to 20 people and was able to get 2 interviews. The hot topic of pre-existing health conditions and healthcare has been really controversial right now, and I think we should take a look and check out what our students have to say.
As you talk about how it was hard for you to get people to actually stop and talk about it, I think that goes into everyone having a hard time taking this presidential election serious. When you go on social media and you see Donald Trump and Joe Biden going back and forth making memes of each other, it's kind of funny, but it makes you think about where this election is actually going to head. And last week with Donald Trump saying that he won't attend the second presidential debate because it's virtual, we don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect, but I guess we just have to hold on to our seats.
Everyone, make sure you vote.
Yeah. Well, let's kick it off to my package and see what students have to say about the future of healthcare. We are 20 days away from election night. As the election draws near, the topic of pre-existing health conditions are concerning to both parties. Presidential candidates have a lot to say about Medicare, Medicaid, and COVID-19.
By the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
Joe, you've had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me about this.
I'm happy to talk about this.
And if you were here, it wouldn't be 200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw.
Eligible voters are concerned about the future of health care plans. Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett has declined to tell the Senate Judiciary Committee how she would rule in regards to abortion and health care.
I commit to you to fully and faithfully applying the law of recusal, and part of that law is to consider any appearance questions, and I will apply the factors that other justices have before me in determining whether the circumstances require my recusal or not. But I can't offer a legal conclusion right now about the outcome of the decision I would reach.
If confirmed, Barrett would be the 3rd nominee under President Donald Trump. Let's take it to the streets and see what students at the University of Kansas have to say about health care.
Trying to hear what Trump's plan was, and he was just saying he did something to the Affordable Care Act, and then Biden was saying something, and it's just like, I don't know, dude. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, I think there are plenty of programs out there that do help with many people who have pre-existing health conditions.
I'm Jordan Nicole with KUJH Entertainment.
Welcome back. I'm with Simone Capers. Simone, thank you for meeting with me.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Now, last time we spoke was All-Star Weekend, and it's safe to say things have been pretty hectic since then.
Everything has completely changed. Since All-Star. I think that's the last time I traveled.
Wow. So your workload has definitely probably changed and gone completely virtual since then. Now, before we get started, could you explain what CAA is to those who don't know?
Of course. So I work at CAA, which stands for Creative Artist Agency. We represent talent and brands from sports to entertainment. So some of our clients on our roster can go from Beyonce to Meg Thee Stallion to Dwayne Wade and Chris Paul, and many, many others.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know that you guys don't just represent, NBA players, because a lot of people assume that, but you guys represent tons of other professional athletes and people in the entertainment industry. Now, you've been at CAA for 4 years, but you've been working with some big name NBA players. Could you explain your experience as a young female in the industry, having to start from the bottom?
Of course. So I started actually in college interning for Dwayne Wade's business manager, Lisa Joseph Metellus. And then I started working at CAA full-time in 2016 as her assistant, working on most of Dwayne Wade's projects. I think that as a Black woman, it's really exciting to be able to be one of the, not the only one, but one of the few in the room and have the opportunity to bring a different voice to the table. I think that it's provided me with a really unique experience, and it's just such a great time and opportunity because those voices aren't always heard. And I'm really grateful that Dwayne and a lot of the other clients I work with have always been inclusive of my voice.
I'm really excited for you, and it's inspiring for me as a Black woman to be able to watch you continue on your journey and be able to do the things that you want to do. Now, you work with some former Jayhawks, and I'm sure our audience would be excited to hear who they are.
Of course, I work with Devonte Graham and Devon Dotson. I've been working with Devonte, as you know, for the past couple of years. He is one of my favorites and the best time always, and just such a great person to work with. And I just started working with Devon a few months ago. And as you guys know, the draft is coming up. And so we're really looking forward to see where he lands and the start of his NBA career.
Yes, we're all excited and hopeful for Devon and also Udoka Azubuike as they head into the draft. Before you go, is there any advice you would give to young females coming up who want to pursue a career in sports management?
For sure. I mean, I think that my biggest piece of advice is to continue to make relationships with new people. I think that what's gotten me here today is meeting people, learning about what they do to really figure out what I want to do and learning from them. I think that this is such an experienced industry, and I just encourage everyone, no matter if it, like I started interning for an AAU team, if it's something like that, just get your foot in the door and the door will open for you.
I agree. Your network is definitely your net worth these days, and people need to continue to find new ways to get involved, whether it's small, like you said, an AAU team, or whether it be big, like Dwayne Wade with you. Thanks for meeting with me, Simone.
Thank you, Shamaria. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And we'll be back with more news.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. I'm Kennedy Kavinsky.
And I'm Soleil. This is your Thursday Good Morning KU News Update. A 61-year-old grandmother has been declared blind after a stranger poured acid on her face. She was walking to her car from drawing blood from patients at a nursing home. The man came up to her asking questions to get her attention, and that's when the incident occurred. Helen Jones was sent to the hospital, placed under critical condition, and was then declared blind.
The National Hurricane Center is keeping an eye on two disturbances in the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. One is not expected to develop, but the other two have a 20% chance of developing into tropical depressions within 5 days. The 2020 Atlantic hurricane season is an ongoing tropical cyclone season, which has produced storms at a record-breaking rate. Forecasters were forced to move to the Greek alphabet to label their storms after using all available names during this season. The season ends November 30th, but storms can form at any time.
KU confirmed last Sunday an additional 51 new cases of the coronavirus on campus, bringing the total to nearly 1,200 new cases since the beginning of the school year. Many students continue to protest the school's decision to reopen.
Douglas County officially starts its first week of early voting. All registered voters have the option of casting their vote by mail-in ballot as well as in person at the Douglas County's clerk's office. Dates and times to cast your vote in person are available on the Douglas County website.
The successful family-owned business and beloved campus staple, McLean's Market, has announced a second location to be open mid-November at 2412 Iowa Street. The second location will offer a larger parking lot, bakery, as well as a drive-thru.
Today marks the last day of confirmation hearings for Supreme Court Justice nominee Amy Coney Barrett. A final vote will take place on October 22nd, and if confirmed, Barrett will become the fifth and youngest woman to serve on the Supreme Court.
The soccer team lost last weekend for the first time this season, 2-0 at Baylor. The Jayhawks actually outshot the Bears 10-9 but couldn't put the ball in the net. Goalie Sarah Peters made 3 saves but also gave up her first 2 goals of the season. The Jayhawks return home to Jayhawk Park tomorrow night to take on Oklahoma State in the annual Jayhawks for a Cup match.
The volleyball team took West Virginia to 5 sets in both matches last weekend before losing to the Mountaineers. Newcomers saw a lot of the action, and freshman Caroline Crawford was named Big 12 Rookie of the Week. Junior transfer Paige Shaw also made her home debut and scored 11 kills. The Jayhawks are now 1-5 on the season and will be on the road this weekend to play Oklahoma tomorrow and Saturday in Norman.
And that'll wrap it up for today's news and update in our show. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.